bringing Lieutenant J. Ross Manown Jr. home after 80 years MIA. Lieutenant J. Ross Manown Jr. was born January 19, 1918, in Kingwood, West Virginia. Lieutenant Manown Jr. was born in the Bishop House on High Street in Kingwood, West Virginia. He was age 2 with the address on High Street. His sister Elaine was 4. He was listed at age 12 on the 1930 census as the grandson of Charles and Lena Craig, with living with the Craig family, with his mother and sister also. He was a graduate of Kingwood High School. He was the son of J. Ross Manown and Ella Craig Manown, and brother of Elaine Manown Jr. On the 1940 census, he lived on Locust Avenue in Morgantown with his mom and dad. He was an avid woodworker. His beautiful pieces are treasured by his family. He was a senior at the West Virginia University studying mining engineering when he entered active combat duty after the attack on Pearl Harbor. He graduated from Ancosta, Virginia, and Pensacola, Florida, Naval Air Training Schools, and served 2 years as a flight instructor at Pensacola. On September 10, 1944, during World War II, Lieutenant Manown, a Navy pilot, 26 years old, who on this date piloted a TBM-1 Avenger that took off from the USS Enterprise for a strike mission against Japanese forces in the Palo Islands. The plane, with Lieutenant Manown and 2 others on board, Anthony DePetta, the gunner, and William Archie Mitz, the radioman and navigator, were shot down in the naval airstrikes at Palo in the western Pacific Ocean. They were last seen spinning violently before crashing into the water a few hundred feet from Malakal Island. Together with then rest of the crew, Lieutenant Manown was lost in the crash. Efforts to recover his remains following the war were unsuccessful, and he was declared non-recoverable. From 2003 to 2018, the Bent Prop Project, now known as Project Recover, a non-profit organization, works to search for and recover missing Americans, and the DPAA conducted 6 investigations which resulted in the identification of a site associated with the incident. Evacuations were made in May 2019 by DPAA partner organization Ships of Exploration and Discovery Research, and in September 2021 by Project Recover. Remains and material evidence were discovered, which were sent to a DPAA laboratory for further study. The laboratory analysis and the totality of the circumstantial evidence available established the remains as those of Lieutenant Manown. Lieutenant Manown and his crew were understood not to be alive, but they were not declared dead either, and unless their remains were somehow found, there would be no formal recognition of their demise, no bodies to prepare for burial, no funerals to attend, no graves to visit. Family was told that they found part of his plane 20 years ago. They found the main section of the plane 10 years ago. Project Recovery and several other agencies recovered and identified Lieutenant Manown Jr. There's a great article in the Smithsonian Magazine online called Recovering the Lost Aviators of World War II. It's a very detailed and very interesting article, a must-read. Even though at the time there was no body, his mom and dad placed a stone in the Maplewood Cemetery for him beside theirs. This is historic. A lot of people were responsible for making this all possible. They found him and brought him home. This is Maplewood Cemetery in Kingwood, West Virginia. It says, "Welcome home, Lieutenant J. Ross Manown Jr. 1918-1944, USS Enterprise, TBM-1 Avenger, World War II, MIA brought home October 29, 2024. Lieutenant Manown's niece, Rebecca Shonk Sheets, said, "While there were other options for Manown's final resting place, I thought, no, He's going to come home and be with his parents. After 80 years, Lieutenant J. Ross Manown Jr. is returning to Preston County, to Kingwood, West Virginia. When you first enter Maplewood Cemetery, the first section you come to is the older section. You drive to the top of the hill, and he's to the left. We took a walk in the older section looking to see if we could find the gravesite. Such a beautiful, peaceful cemetery. The month is October, and the leaves have changed. You can see why it's called Maplewood. Beautiful trees. When you drive up into the graveyard, it's on the left from the road, on the older section, a family plot. This is his mother, Ella Craig Manown, J. Ross Manown, his father, Lieutenant Ross Manown Jr. The grave has been prepared and covered, waiting. This is the location of the family gravesite. The West Virginia mountains on one side. Very close to this road, across from the main entrance. This road is called Amos A. This is another part of the view of the graveyard. It's very large and very peaceful. Very close by is a flagpole with a monument. A dime has been placed, laying on the stone. Lest we forget, this monument is dedicated to all Prestonians who served their country honorably in the armed forces of the United States of America. George D. Jackson, post number 56, placed November 11th, 1987. Large maple woods in the middle. It's a beautiful cemetery. It's 6:17 a.m. in the morning, and people are starting to gather, waiting on the bus to go to Pittsburgh at the Kingwood Funeral Home in Kingwood, West Virginia. Kingwood Funeral Home is down by Kingwood Elementary, and the bus is arriving.
JD, get this picture.
Bus was donated by Lone Pine Bus Lines. Special decals were added to the back and the side of the bus. The veterans had a special sign that they were going to put in the passenger side window of the bus. As they put the sign in the window, everyone visits outside. This is Foster Huffman, a 99-year-old veteran who will be riding the bus to bring Lieutenant J. Manown Jr. home. Matthew Feather, the bus driver, is assisting and helping put the sign up. The flight to bring Lieutenant Manown Jr. home is to land at Pittsburgh International Airport on October 25th at 10:22 a.m. and to arrive back at Kingwood around 1 p.m. 99-year-old Foster makes his way onto the bus.
Isn't that amazing?
On the bus are Lieutenant J. Manown's family members and members of the Preston County Honor Guard and people involved in the project. The bus is scheduled to leave the Kingwood Funeral Home on Price Street in Kingwood at 6:45 a.m. Everyone's just about loaded onto the bus. It's just about time for them to go. A photographer was there taking photos. The state police car arrived. 6:52 a.m. Friday, October 25th, 2024. They are now pulling out, getting ready to go to Pittsburgh. Several of the police departments escorted the bus, hearse, and funeral cars from Kingwood Funeral Home to Pittsburgh and back. To go from Kingwood, West Virginia to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Airport, it's about 104 miles, an hour and 45 minutes approximately. The route from the Pittsburgh Airport will be Interstate 79, then Interstate 68, exiting at Morgantown to Route 7 to Kingwood, turning from Main Street, Kingwood, on to Price Street to the Kingwood Funeral Home at 295 South Price Street in Kingwood. Sign at the stoplight by the courthouse. Flags for Heroes located at the Preston County Inn on Main Street. Lieutenant J. Ross Manown Jr.'s brick at the Veterans Memorial at Preston County Courthouse. His brick is located 12D. The firemen are setting the flag up. On the tower truck. The flag and the tower truck are at the end of Main Street where it meets Morgantown Street in Kingwood. "12 p.m. Bill called and said they were at the 79-68 split. We're waiting." The local newspaper, the Preston County Journal. The flag got wrapped up in the bucket. They're going up to fix it.
So if you're done working, you're still getting paid.
And they got it fixed. It's got flags from the city of Kingwood.
Yep.
12:54 p.m. We hear sirens. They're almost here. Shauna Sines was on the bus. She took these photos at the Pittsburgh airport and along the trip home, seeing people along the route holding American flags. Thank you, Shauna, for letting me use these photos. The red fire trucks are Camp Dawson's, located 11 miles from Kingwood. They've arrived at the Kingwood Funeral Home on Price Street in Kingwood. Foster Huffman, the 99-year-old veteran, is standing beside the lady in the red jacket. Visitation service was held from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Monday, October 28th at the Kingwood Funeral Home. Preston County flags are at half-staff on this day. The two buses were helping the veterans and others to get from the funeral home to the gravesite and back. The funeral was at 11:30 a.m. on Tuesday, October 29th. Reverend Jonathan Nettles officiated. WWII from Clarksburg has a news story. I zoomed in on some of the photos that Shauna Sines took inside the funeral home. Photo says Tunnelton Street, Kingwood, West Virginia. Ross Manown, J. Ross Manown Jr., and Ella Manown. I've seen that house before. This used to be the Burtis Craig house, and then it was Jay and Anita Craig's house. Photo taken today. Great photos and displays inside the funeral home. Lots of informative information. This shows Palau Island, approximately 8,527 miles from Kingwood, West Virginia. Family photos, and a couple more photos from the funeral home. The funeral is over and some are starting to exit. The flyover is scheduled for 12:50 p.m., a little bit after the funeral ended. The flyover is the missing man formation, where one aircraft breaks away from the formation mid-flight, symbolizing the loss of a person. Everybody comes outside and watches as they load Lieutenant J. Manown Jr. into the hearse. They walk to the top of the parking lot to wait for the flyover. Everybody waits with cameras and phones in hand. Flyover happened at exactly 12:50 p.m. A ceremony in Palau honoring the Avengers crew. They had a flyover of F-35s followed the route of Manown's final flight, symbolically completing the mission. This is a very documented event. Newspapers, TV, social media, and YouTube, and possibly magazines. My grandson in the middle school said that they had a fire drill today, just at the same time as a flyover, so they all got to see it. Some of the elementary students got to watch the procession go by and the flyover. The Kingwood Fire Department set the tower truck with flag at the corner of High Street and Price Street. The funeral procession passed by on their way to the graveyard at Maplewood Cemetery. They came up Price Street and turned onto High Street to Maplewood Cemetery. As you came into Kingwood, they had a banner, "Welcome home, Lieutenant J.R. Manown Jr." At the old Kingwood High School that Lieutenant Manown Jr. graduated from, says, "Welcome home, Lieutenant Manown. Thank you, Project Recover. Welcome home, Lieutenant J. Ross Manown Jr." We're going to walk across the lot where the old elementary school used to be. Most of the people have already arrived, but I still see some people coming. We're entering at the top of the hill in part of the old section. Lieutenant J. Ross Manown Jr., a courageous World War II naval aviator, returned home to Kingwood, West Virginia, to be laid to rest with full military honors. Lieutenant Manown was the final member of the plane to be buried and honored. All three families came together for the first time in 80 years. Interment is at the Maplewood Cemetery in Kingwood, West Virginia, with full military honors conducted by the Navy Reserve Center, Pittsburgh Funeral Honor Detail, and the Preston County Honor Guard. They said they were having a dinner after in the Bishop House on High Street. This has been a Jill Garbart Studio video on YouTube.